by Rumi. Rumi is otherwise called as Jalaluddin Muhammad Rumi. He is a Persian poet followed by people who follow the religion of Islam. Not only that, people from the Oriental region of Europe as well as Asia follow a lot of Rumi's writing. Rumi is known for his Sufi poetry, his mystic writing, and is very famously known for his movement of transcendentalism long before it came to be called as such. Rumi's Rubaiyat and the Ghazal of the Divan has been translated into many languages, including English, and Rubaiyat has been translated into English by Lord Fitzgerald. When you do things from your soul, you feel a river moving in you, a joy. When actions come from another section, the feeling disappears. Don't let others lead you. They may be blind or worse, vultures. Reach for the rope of God. And what is that? Putting aside self will. Because of willfulness, people sit in jail. The trapped bird's wings are tied. Fish sizzle in the skillet. If we take the first line, when you do things from your soul, you feel a river moving in you, a joy. Movie talks about human emotions that are stirred by the things that people love to do. When actions come from another section, the feeling disappears. When people move on into the next movement or next action, the emotions that were stirred by the previous action tends to dissipate or dissolve. Now this is very normal because the attention span of human beings when it comes to things is very less. It could be either the things that we love or the things that we hate. Don't let others lead you. They may be blind or worse, vultures. Now Rumi talks about human relationships, especially that when we trust others who are not worthy of our trust. We need to know who to trust and who not to trust. Reach for the rope of God. And what is that? Putting aside self-will. Since as humans we do not know whom to trust and who not to trust, it is always better to trust God. Why? Because God knows what we want. He has created us for a purpose, and in order for us to reach for the rope of God, it is very necessary for us to remove self-will, to remove self and put God in the place of self. Because of willfulness, people sit in jail. The trapped bird's wings are tied. Fish sizzle in the skillet. Here, willfulness talks not about the strong will of people, but the instinctual nature of people, of human beings. The instinct which does not encourage people or human beings to think about the consequences of our action. Now, because of such an instinct, we do not think about the future or the consequences of actions, which in turn comes to bite us back. Because when we fall for temptation like a bird, we will be captured by the nest. Same thing, when we bite the bait like a fish, we will eventually end up being in the skillet. The anger of police is willfulness. You've seen a magistrate inflict visible punishment. Now, in this particular part, Rumi talks about the misuse of power or the abuse of power by people who are law enforcers. Police cannot take their anger and their wrath or any ill feelings towards general public because they are there to stand up or to look up as proper citizens, good role models. If people look at them as objects of power rather than objects of the law, the entire aspect of a law enforcement agency becomes invalid. Now, see the invisible. If you could leave your selfishness, you would see how you've been torturing your soul. When we always put the self first, we are always greedy, and greed leads to a lack of contentment. And because of that, we always want more and more of the materialistic things that in turn tortures one's soul. We are born and live inside black water in a well. How could we know what an open field of sunlight is? Now, this particular aspect of the poem can be looked at from two different angles. One is the lack of light, one is not wanting the light. Now, people in darkness tend to be more comfortable with darkness because you don't necessarily see anything being exposed when it is dark. But when the light shines, everything that is bad, everything that is evil is exposed because of the light. Another one is people who live in darkness. They long for light, but they are completely unaware of what light actually is. Don't insist on going where you think you want to go. Ask the way to the spring. Now, this particular sentence explains how you need to let go of your ego and ask for help. Spring here represents a water body. Now, this water body is not humongous like a river, but it still flows from one place to another. It is not stagnant like a lake as well. Now, spring represents life. So, if you want to go to a place to quench your thirst, you need to know, to ask who to go to that place. Your living pieces will form a harmony. There is a moving palace that floats in the air, with balconies and clear water flowing through. Infinity everywhere, yet contained under a single tent. Now, this last passage of the poem talks about how God is present everywhere, how God is omnipotent and omniscient, how heaven, even though it seems like it is very far, is actually right on top of us. There is a moving palace that floats in the air with balconies and clear water flowing through. Infinity everywhere, yet contained under a single tent. This moving palace could be considered as a canopy of the sky, or could also represent the want or the longing of going home after a weary, dreary life on earth. Now, looking at the poetry analysis, the rhyme scheme is as follows. There's no particular rhyme scheme of the first two lines, and then you have A, B, and then no rhyme scheme, and then C, 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 and then no rhyme scheme, then B, A, and again then no rhyme scheme, and then C. The stanza length, as in strings, is 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, and 3. The closest metrical representation is a trochaic pentameter, and trochaic pentameter occurs when the verse line contains 5 sets of feet with a stressed syllable followed by a short or unstressed syllable. Then we have the closest stanza type, which is a tercet. A tercet is a poetic unit of 3 lines, which could either be rhymed or unrhymed. And the guest form of the poem is a rondo. Rondo is a poem that typically contains 13 lines with 3 stanzas, and the opening words of the first line is used as an independent refrain after the second and the third stanza. Thank you.